Camaraderie. I'm so proud of you guys. 0 to 60 from when I first got here. All right, no one was talking to each other. You guys were all immersed in your phones. Yeah, yeah, no. There's a lot of ice in this room, but
We are the best. We are the best media contingent in all of the NFL. We actually hang out together.
finally we agree on something.
Like obviously, no two players are alike, but generally, with the skill set that was lost with Mike Gesicki, in terms of a seam threat at that size, someone who can rise in the red zone to catch, who on this roster do you think can compete to fill that role? What names come to mind?
No, there's you're hitting on something that there's some opportunities within the offense to put your imprint on your career and for this team. I wouldn't say it's just tight ends, but really all skill receivers. There's a lot of competition. So really as the head coach of the team, I'm most excited to see who wins it because it is as organic as one could make it. There's several capable candidates to catch some balls really and be an impactful part of this team. I would say at all the offensive skill positions, and the proof is in the pudding. You go out there to practice, and there's a good amount of talent. So for me to say that I know who that's going to be would be being way ahead of. There's some sort of saying that I'm looking for. Boom, Barry still got it. I think there's a lot of young players, some veterans that recognize the opportunity and really going after it.
Mike, it looked like Tua had one of those little helmets on his, one of those little cameras on his helmets. Can you tell us about the benefits for that and relative to you guys working together on progressions and whatnot?
Oh, so that's a tool that has been around in the league and in different avenues and different organizations. I can remember since the teens of the 2000s, and for us, it's multifaceted. Again, it's not like anything earth-shattering. It's a camera, but it does have audio, and I think some of the the strong attributes of that technology are that you get to hear play calls. You can library those play calls for players to hear when they're studying. This just in, the National Football League huddles. A lot of college and high schools don't, which means you're taking in information auditorily for the first time with many minimized reps, and then you're not, as opposed to looking at the sidelines for a signal or a picture. So auditory, it's a tool. It's also something that you can, see from his side eye what he's looking at. So for all quarterbacks, it's a tool to help really drive home certain coaching points and just see what they're seeing to be on the same page as the player.
Mike, is there anything with relation to concussions that could help, if any? If seeing his head movement, where it might go, or things that might maybe forecast the play that he might have got himself into last year?
Well, I think preparation is the best thing that you can do for all players in regarding executing your jobs while protecting yourself. Outside of that, you got to get a hold of one of those see the future cameras. Then it would be extremely helpful if you knew where the players were going to be. But I think for all players, when they are when they're in the right time of their learning process, where it's not too much on the front end where you're swimming in too many variables of information. But when you're ready, added information, added articulation through our problem solving only, benefits the player and the team for the ultimate result. So information and tools are not the end-all be-all by any stretch, but I think it does help us to get or to become really the best football team and best players and the best coaches that we can be, which is really how I see our jobs.
The Dolphins are one of like 4 or 5 teams around the league. They're doing 6 OTAs as opposed to the maximum allowed of 10. I'm curious as to what you think.
A lot of things factor into it. I think that, by and large, players, coaches, people in general do best when why is explained to them. In this particular situation, I think that it is crucial that we have, is convicted, present, deliberate football players when they're approaching practice, and really recognizing how each opportunity is very, very crucial to the development of the team. I think when you're able to acknowledge players' hard work and they get positively reinforced with actual action, I think it goes a long way. They are afforded the less practices because they've earned it, because of the way they've approached the whole off season. My standards for preparation are pretty high, and they've recognized that and really heeded to the expectation across the board. So I think in those types of circumstances, everyone benefits with a little bone here or there.
But you've got a fixture courtside at Miami Heat games, but you're also a Colorado native, and Denver Nuggets would be your hometown team. So I'm wondering, where is your allegiance going into these?
How did you know that I was courtside?
Everyone can see it.
Oh, I wish I would have known that. It's funny. I will not deny that. I've been a football coach my entire adult life. I was born and raised in Denver, and cheered for the Nuggets forever. Had a fan plan in 1994 that they packaged games, and we picked the package that Jordan was going to play, and he retired. It was my mom's entire bonus. And so, yeah, I've been invested, and they've had a really cool journey. It's a cool franchise, but, I'm an only child, and I myself am a father to an only child, so this is going to be totally forecasting, but I feel comfortable doing it because I'm blind. The Kelseys went through it. I imagine it being like a parent with a couple kids where, of course, you love all your kids, but don't you love one more? And realistically, when it comes down to it, the stuff that I've been able to really get access to with the Heat coaching staff led by Spo last summer, getting to know them, following their journey, and getting to know the people, become extremely invested so I don't lose any sleep by saying, you know what, Denver Nuggets, why don't we wait 48 years, not 47? So that's kind of where I stand on that. But really, I think it's really cool. It is odd that you're the two teams you probably follow as close as anything. You're rooting for one, and somebody has to lose. But I'm really excited in particular for just the finals in general, because I think it represents both teams in the finals represent what's really cool about sports, because they have had to scratch claw, fight tooth and nail to get in the position they're at in their own respective journeys. And so I have no doubt in my mind that both fan bases, both teams, no one's going to take anything for granted. We're going to have elite schematic coaching from both sides, and you're going to have to earn whatever comes here. So I think from a sportsman perspective, and it's as cool as it gets, and I'm excited to see what the Heat can do.
Coach, when you go to these games, are you going purely for entertainment purposes, or is there stuff you can bring back from a football perspective to kind of show to the team and relate the two things?
I think there's information in front of us all the time that can be very beneficial to what we do on a day-to-day basis, just in general. Every day, if you're willing to look and listen. So, you don't know what is going to come about, but the bottom line is, when you go to those games, you're where would you rather be if you're in professional sports, in terms of you have high stakes, a lot of sweat equity has gone into those moments, a lot more than I still have a tough time imagining how many up and downs and shuttles and all, how many practices and shoot arounds that basketball teams go through, and how long that season is, and how many practices that hockey teams have to get on the same page. That stuff is what really is impactful for me in those moments, and I think without a doubt there's great stuff to take away that can be applied in what we're trying to do.
Mike,
it was
what
reported
are your
yesterday.
takeaways from your time with Eric Spoelstra? He's still only 52, and yet makes the playoffs very consistently, makes the NBA Finals on a pretty regular basis. What are your takeaways, and what makes him as successful as?
Well, first and foremost, I feel so humbled to be able to have the relationship. I think what screams to me, just the way he runs the program and what they do, is there's a passion for developing players and coaching, and a standard for what they believe that they should prepare their players. I feel a true love for who they're coaching and what they're coaching, and I think systematically, when people describe the Heat culture, they're talking about a bunch of individuals that are trying to be great in the game of basketball, players and coaches alike, and it's. I feel so fortunate. I think he has to be one of the best professional coaches across all sports. And for me to have access to pick his brain, to, he even throws me a handshake after wins. It's unbelievable resource for me in the coaching profession that I feel very, very fortunate to have.
Mike, it was reported yesterday that the team is going to be having another set of joint practices with the Texans, specifically, having practice sessions with Coach Noel and D'Amico Ryans. What do you think the team can gain from that?
Yeah, I wanted to break the news to you guys last time I was up here, but gave the opportunity to a friend and somebody I feel fortunate to have coached with and been around for such a long time, in D'Amico Ryans. And he just turned it down like the humble guy he is. So, we pumped about that. That's a young, hungry team that will afford us the opportunity of getting better in training camp. Those type of opportunities are invaluable. It breaks camp up. It gives a little newness to it. It reinvigorates it, but it also, there's only so much scheme that one side of the ball can have, and you get different players that you have to go against, and subtle schematic nuances that are different that really help the players get prepared for preseason and then regular season.
Like things you've noticed about A, Cam Smith so far, and B, Devon. Obviously, speed stands out, but if you wouldn't mind taking each of those two individually.
I think both of them have done exactly what's been asked of them to this juncture, which is, I think it's along the process. There's so much going on for rookies. You forget that you're joining a team that has established players, and you need to make way on that team through the locker room and then the coaching staff, just the building in general. That's what I've seen them focus on, and I can tell they're starting to become one of the guys. You are swimming at this stage, and that's to be expected. But I also see from those two in particular, guys that have a deep down self-confidence that the minor hiccups in the short term aren't really affecting them, which is something you look for in young players, because there's a lot. I mean, it's almost like you're a baseball player. You bat like 30%, or 300 for the the real fan. You bat like 300. That means 7 out of 10 times failure. That's kind of like being a rookie. So so far so good in that. I think you have to win over your teammates before, at least with the Dolphins, before you're able to play with them. And I think they're knee deep in that journey, and I've been happy with what they've produced.
Mike, they say that for the human brain, moving and starting a new job are two of, I think, the 5 most stressful things you can go through. Obviously, when you get here, you got to hit the ground running, focused on the job. But how have you allowed yourself to acclimate to, I guess, the new environment outside of work?
Man, moving, new job? Wow. No, I think it's been cool to kind of, it's one of the reasons that it's so awesome for me to go to the, all these to be this fortunate coach of this team, to go to these playoff games. Just my comfort with the entire with all of South Florida. I didn't know what I didn't know, and there's so many things that this place has to offer, and it is night and day. Like now, it feels like home. Last year you don't even know where you're at. So that there's a ton of stuff that's allows you to do your job more efficiently and more focused on the task at hand. So it's been an awesome off season that's been filled with work, with a little sprinkle of husband dad time that has been outstanding. And I know my daughter is she's really excited to play all day, which that's what I'll be doing for my break. But there's a lot of work to be done before that.
Just to follow up real quick, you said it's starting to feel like home. Was there a moment you have in mind where you kind of were able to stop and realize, wow, yeah, this is home now?
Well, it's hard not to feel that way with the amount of support. I've said it before in the past. I didn't really know the strength of South Florida fans and the really the sleeping giant that I kind of walked into, and I started to feel it in training camp. But by the time there was the first home game, it's hard not to feel at home when so many people are supporting you. I've moved my whole life, so that's old hat. But I remember specifically leaving the stadium after the first game and being like, wow, this is a great place to live and do my job. So I'm gonna fight tooth and nail. While you guys try to kick me out of it. And I'm a fighter.
Like, did Armstead have the foot surgery, and should he be fine for training camp?
So he's been having a good off season. I try to honor all the players with not really putting their business out on the street unnecessarily. I have no reservations about where he's at. He has had his fill of watching practice, so he's done everything in his power, and I look forward to seeing him in training camp. And I haven't been given any reason to have hesitancy to this point at all.
The team runs into some money post June 1, which happens to be tomorrow's date.
What?
I know you can't tell us exactly what the organizational plans are, but can you speak to the benefit of having that kind of cap relief at this juncture?
Well, it's something that that when any direction is decided for the team, you're kind of aware that that's coming. So that has been planned, and we are aware that that's occurring, and we typically do everything we can to have the best team possible within the guidelines of the salary cap. So, not sure where, but I'd feel confident to say that we'll make good use out of that salary cap room when it comes to the start of the regular season. I can't believe you guys missed the op. This is the South Florida 2023 did not just begin with these playoff early progressions of both the Heat and the Florida Panthers. No one wants to talk to me about Nova? No?
No.
Okay. Well, they started it out with Division II national champions in basketball, and there's another one out there too. You guys know? Come on.
We should talk about FAU.
And FAU on top of that, the U doing winning all sorts of basketball games. But Joey Marino. You heard the last name before? Yeah, he's a champion. He in South Florida, 2023. He's the head coach of their golf team.
Interesting.
Do you golf?
Hmm?
Do you golf?
No, but I judge it. That was good. That was terrible. One of those things. So yeah, you learn something new every day. But let's expand our horizons, guys. All right? We good? All right. Appreciate it.